Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. We're back again for another episode. Hey, Matt Show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt, welcome back. It's been a while.
Yes, thank you for having me. Before we get into it, there is just a correction I would like to make. Last week, I said the last time the Yankees missed the playoffs was 2014. That was wrong. It was 2016. I forgot about 2016. That's when they called Sanchez up. They called Judge up for that period of time.
Yes.
A-Rod retired. So I totally forgot about that season. Yankees finished with 84 wins and fourth place in the division, and they didn't make the playoffs. And then obviously 2017 was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and they made it all the way to Game 7 of the ALCS. But wanted to make that correction. But Jason, how's it going?
It's been great, and it's been an interesting week in sports world for my teams, actually. We got a lot to talk about that from all around, from mainly Mets and the Eagles. So let's get right into that, you
The
know? We'll start with
Rangers, the Rangers, the Mets South, New York Mets
yeah,
South
yeah.
in terms of
So,
pitchers.
for those of you who may not know, who should already, I guess, but Max Scherzer's gone. It was very unexpected out of nowhere. Of course, I mean, yeah, trade deadline's around the corner already. It ends tomorrow, but yeah, we didn't really think that Scherzer was gonna be gone just like that. That sucks. The reason for that, I'm assuming really the reason why the Mets got rid of him, is because we traded David Roberts. All right, so he was our best reliever, and we traded him to Miami for prospects. So, and then apparently Max Scherzer went upstairs to the front office and kind of made a complaint about it. Why asking like why this and why that. And I'm assuming front office did not like that, and it's like, you don't take control of this team. Who are you to talk like that? And right after that, he got shipped off, and he just disappeared and went on to Texas. But we did get a good prospect actually. He was number three, Luis Angel Acuna, which is Ronald Acuna's brother. He's batting like around 316 around, and he's a good prospect. So hopefully, the kid comes up and he does well for us. So maybe that'll work out. Maybe that Scherzer trade was the right decision. We'll see.
And just so we are aware, Max Scherzer started 42 games for the Mets in his career. He had a record of 20 wins, 9 losses, with an ERA of 3.02 and 294 strikeouts. So, I mean, obviously this year, let's take a look for this year. Oh, I mean, the reason why his ERA is that low is because of what he did last year. He finished last year with a 2.29 ERA. This year he's in the 4.4s. So obviously this season wasn't, um, didn't go as planned for him, with the Mets. He's getting paid the money to be 1A, 1B, which, however you want to look at him and Verlander, but he was getting paid to be that, that second ace, one of two aces. And being in the high 4.4s isn't going to help your case, especially if you start questioning the front office's decisions. Um, so yeah, so it was that unexpected, huh? Just like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was rumors that he was getting traded, but then even he himself was like, "No, I'm staying, I'm staying." And then after
Well,
that situation, it was gone. And now they're saying it's a possibility that Verlander might also be gone after he had a great start yesterday. This was what, today's Monday. He had a great start Sunday. He got a record yesterday. About, I think he got 200 wins, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And he got a very nice standing ovation. And he even said himself that was like one of the best standing ovations he had in his career. If that's how he's gonna end the career, a short career with the Mets, congratulations to him. I mean, I do feel bad for him. He's been trying his best. It sucks to have him, a future Hall of Famer, a Cy Young Award winner as well.
World
You know,
Series champion.
World Series, yep, MVP and all that. And it sucks to see that we had a great guy who was a future Hall of Famer, who we could have just had a nice playoff run with, and now it looks like he might be a seller as well. And it sucks because at the beginning of the season we got him to get far in the playoffs because of this guy,
Yeah.
because of the Jacob deGrom being departed. So we needed a 1-2 punch with Scherzer, and Verlander was that guy. But it doesn't
But
seem. It seems like it doesn't work out.
to be fair, right? What did Scherzer really do for you guys in those big games last year? And the series in September against Atlanta, he collapsed, and
Mhm.
then in the wild card game he collapsed.
Yeah, he gave
Uh,
up 7 Padres. It was
so
horrible.
so like I mean, granted, short sample size, I get it, but he didn't. Those were two signature moments for him to keep you guys in the lead of the division last year, and then obviously to advance in the playoffs last year. And he shit the bed twice, pardon my French, but
Yeah,
he came up short in two very big situations. And for the amount of times, just look at the team in the Bronx, right? You know, how much crap has Garrett Cole gotten for that wild card performance against Boston, uh, where the Yankees lost and Rafael Devers just, I don't know what he knows about Garrett Cole, but he knows something because Cole cannot pitch to that man. Um, but that's one bad start in Cole's postseason Yankee career, and he still gets crap about it.
yeah.
Those are basically even though one was a regular season game, were essentially two playoff games that Scherzer started, and came up short big time in both of those games. So, I mean, how old is he? 39, 40? Like, is
Yeah,
he?
around 38, 39. Yeah, he's getting old too. So he's got maybe like 1 or 2 more years in him.
So
Possibly.
is there a silver lining? Probably. So I wouldn't get too worked up over crazy eyes myself. Um, but it's
Yeah.
interesting. The Mets are Mets are making moves, and meanwhile the Yankees are not doing anything. I mean,
I mean, it was as expected that the Mets were going to be sellers, like I already predicted for this end of the month and starting next offseason. But they're also trying their best to build up their farm system,
yeah.
and I feel like with this league, you have to build up a really good farm system in order to rebuild and have become a winning team. That's how I
Look,
feel with
Atlanta
yeah, and the Orioles. I mean, look at the
and the
Orioles right now.
Orioles. Yeah.
They're both in first place. So I feel like starting from homegrown players from your farm system, break them up. We're starting to do that a little bit. We got Alvarez, we got Beatty, and Mauricio, who's still there, but he's hitting bombs, and Rianos. I mean, we'll see how that goes. Maybe that's what they're trying to do now.
Look at the
We might
90s
be getting
Yankees, right?
right.
The 90s,
Yeah.
Bernie, Posada, Mariano, Pettit, Jeter. Um, I mean, people, say the core four, but it's essentially the five of those guys, homegrown Yankees. And granted, you can make all the arguments you want about going out and getting Roger Clemens, going out and getting David Cohn, um, going out and getting Scott Brocious, right? You could talk about those moves that helped, right? That helped elevate the team,
Mm.
but essentially, those were the five homegrown players that delivered the Yankees um, four World Series championships. And then, obviously Bernie retired and then the other four got the fifth one. Um, so I think you're spot on. And, some of these young guys for the Mets look like they could do something.
I believe so too. They're still learning. Same thing with Alvarez behind the plane calling games, but he's hitting bombs. Brady as well, he's the same thing, hitting well, but third base is not an easy position as well, so he's just trying to elevate that as well.
We'll give you
Um,
Donaldson. You guys want Donaldson?
but no, I'm okay with that. Okay with that. He only had like 10 hits this season, so I am okay with that. But moving forward with that, speaking of the trade deadline, as I was speaking about earlier, Ohtani is staying with Anaheim. We were
That's
correct.
official. Yep. They
We
announced
have,
that before
which
the
is
doubleheader last week, and look what happened.
so that was very surprising. Nothing crazy as I seen besides the Scherzer thing. With the trade deadline, nothing blockbuster trades or anything.
Let me ask
Wait,
you
no,
this. Let me ask you real quick though. Are the
right.
Angels making a very big gamble here?
I
Because
think
he
uh,
could very easily decide to go elsewhere this offseason and they get nothing.
right. I mean, they could get a big trade this offseason for Ohtani, like to give him away to some team. But yeah, I mean, unless if they really want to keep Ohtani, plus having a healthy Trout, you're gonna have to build around those two guys, especially.
Well,
You're gonna
they have
have
to
to.
convince, they're going to have to convince Otani that they are going to be contenders for the next 5 to 10 years. Um, and let's be real, the only reason why they're even approaching a wild card spot is because of Otani.
Ohtani.
So, um, so they're gonna have to. I mean, they're gonna pay him, right? Everybody's saying $600 million, right? That's what everybody's saying he's gonna get. They're gonna have to pay him, and they're gonna have to convince him that staying there is his best chance to win a World Series. Will they do both? Can they convince him that staying there is his best chance for a World Series as opposed to got Atlanta, you know, even how terrible they are this year, the Yankees, the Dodgers, um, can they convince them of that? I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, they've had one of the greatest baseball players ever for the past decade, and they've gotten nowhere. And now they have two, and now they've had two of the best baseball players in the history of the game for the past 4 years, and
Mm-hmm.
they've gotten nowhere. Um, Meanwhile, as we talked about in previous episodes, both of the guys went off to the World Baseball Classic and got both of their teams to the finals. Yet together, under Angels management, they can't do anything. So it's clearly an Angels issue and construction of the roster. Um, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Shohei. And he's not going anywhere. Um, and so we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what the Yankees do at the trade deadline. They got to get it now. They got to get a left fielder.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe.
They got to get a left
Oh,
fielder.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of gaps the Yankees need to get. Like just hitting wise as well. And pitching as well. I mean, starting pitching. I feel like
I mean, Luis
Sever.
Severino said it himself yesterday. He feels like he's the worst pitcher in the game.
Right.
And I saw this one thing that I want to look up, and this just goes to show about Brian Cashman, if I can find it. Yeah. So listen to that. These are MLB ranks each season in number of plate appearance taken by left-handed hitters versus
Mm-hmm.
right-handed pitchers. In 2009, the last time the Yankees won the World Series, they were first. So that means they were first in the league of at-bats from left-handed batters against right-handed pitchers. This year, you want to take a guess where they rank?
I would say like maybe in the middle, possibly, or a little less than that.
27th.
Wow.
They rank
Whew.
27th.
Whew.
So they went from first in 2009, the last time they won the World Series, to what, third from last? I mean, it's just, I mean, you have the short porch.
Mm-hmm.
Get left-handed batters. Like it's not rocket science, right? You have a short right field. Left-handed hitters more than likely hit to right field. Get left-handed hitters. Like it's
Switch
not that
too.
hard.
Get switch hitters too. Switch hitters do help out.
Get switch
You know.
hitters. Get switch hitters. I mean, I don't know. As magical as he is, and we can get into what he did the other night. Judge can't carry this offense by himself.
And it's just like that's what the same thing Otani's going through as
It's
well currently.
exactly what Ohtani's going through. It's what Mike Trout went through for a decade.
Hmm.
Um, these guys can't carry the team by themselves. I mean, and granted, Judge comes back, he lines out and then gets walked 3 times, and then the next day he goes 3 for 5 with a home run, just because he's like, I'm a maniac. Um, but he's not going to deliver you the World Series by himself, and it's not fair to him to put all that pressure on him.
Hmm. I mean, he'll
Um,
get for struggling if anything, you know.
yeah, we saw it last year. I mean, granted, he was chasing 62 and there was this whole thing, but he started to press. He started to swing at more pitches outside of the zone. He started chasing more, um, because of all that pressure. And if Cashman thinks he's going to win when every single time Aaron Judge is out of the lineup, the Yankees lose. I mean,
Mhm.
Aaron Judge was out for 2 months. Those 2 months, the Yankees had a losing record. Um, it's I've been saying it for years. It's a poorly constructed roster. And at the end of the day, Hal must be okay with that because he's rewarded both Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman with extensions. So Hal must be okay with, hey, we'll get in the playoffs every year, and we'll see what happens, which
Mhm.
is not the way of Mr. Steinbrenner. And it's not the way a lot of Yankee fans grew up. Um, I mean, Derek Jeter says every year they didn't win the World Series was a failure. And it just seems like Hal and Brian Cashman no longer feel that way. And as a Yankee fan, that it's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I just feel like, you guys made the ALCS a few times and they just like, okay, we'll stick with this lineup and hope for the best from there, you know. We made the ALCS with this lineup. Let's try it again. And
Yeah, we made the ALCS 3 times, and each time we've done incredibly worse. The first time, 2017, we made it to Game 7 against the Astros. We could go on all about how we feel about that series, considering what we know now. 2019, we lost to the Astros in 6 games. Again, we can go on
Mhm.
all about how we feel about that series, about what people believe happened in 2019. We don't know for certain, but obviously Altuve, don't rip off my shirt, that whole saga. Um, and then obviously this past season where they got swept. Um, it's just been
And Judge
utter.
was struggling and then he was getting booed. The guy was getting booed.
Aaron Judge got booed. Aaron Judge,
Down.
the guy who hit 62 home runs in the regular season, had a historic year, got booed in the playoffs because he was batting below 200. Um, and you could say all you want about Yankee fans, whether you think that's okay, whether you think they're ridiculous for booing him. But he didn't perform in the playoffs. And to be fair, he hasn't really performed in the playoffs in his career. He's had moments. He's had some big moments where he steps up and he hits a clutch home run. But in terms of consistent in the playoffs for him, and I love Judge. You know how much I love Aaron Judge. It
Mhm.
hasn't been there, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's had good games for like the wild card game. I remember. Yeah, but like you said, yeah, I agree with you.
Against the Twins in
When,
2017.
but that's really all I can remember, you know. But I don't know. We'll see if he comes back and builds a better team around him. We'll see how that plays out. That's really it for Major League Baseball at the moment. There's a lot of surprising teams for this second half of the season. Orioles are in first place. The Rays have been struggling. The NL wild card, I should say, has been very like a bloodbath going on right now.
Yeah.
The Reds, I am so surprised with the Reds right now. Last year they were just a laughing stock, a meme, and now they're playoff contenders, and De La Cruz is cruising. I
Oh,
like the guy.
he's so good.
That's the guy we got to talk about. I mean, he's as soon as he came in this league, he's just drawn an impact. He's already in Nike commercials. I remember, if I'm correct, if I stand correct, he was in a commercial of Nike. I'm not sure, but he was already in a commercial. The dude was already playing like maybe less than 20 games, and people were already like starstruck with him.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for this guy, and I hope for the best for his future. I mean, he's a tall dude. He's really, he's a very fast player. He's an all-around guy, and he's hit a cycle already in his career, and possibly win Rookie of the Year. He's definitely one of the front runners for that, possibly.
I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have Carroll. Yeah, his name is from the Diamondbacks, CJ Carroll. He's definitely up there as well for the NL rookie. So the rookies this year have been, they're very surprising. They're very impressive. And there's
Volpe.
a bright, yeah, especially with Alvarez as well. The
Yeah,
Mets
Alvarez has been,
yeah,
I know why all of last year, whenever I would turn into WFAN, I would just hear, why won't the Mets call up Alvarez? Why won't the Mets call up Alvarez? Why won't the Mets call up Alvarez? I get it now.
yeah. So the guy, yeah, those rookies are great. So that's really it that I have
Real quick,
MLB.
before we move on from baseball, I do want to ask this question, and I should have asked it a few minutes ago when we were talking about them. But what we saw from Shohei, his last start, where he pitches, it was the doubleheader. He pitches the complete game, one hitter in the first game, and then in the second game he hits 2 home runs. Does he need a World Series or multiple World Series to be considered the greatest baseball player of all time, or do you think he's already gotten that title? Do you think he already deserves that title?
I don't think he needs multiple, just one. All it takes is one World Series. He's done a lot. He's won MVP. He's won All Stars. He's a two-way player. I mean, that's very consistent. You don't see that. This is a rare player that does this, for every game. He's hitting like around 40 home runs.
On
You just got to
pace,
win
on
one
pace,
World Series.
on pace for high 50s, early 60s, if he could
Yeah,
do it.
right. I just feel like one World Series is totally fine for him. A lot of players, they've been in the league for so long, put up some great numbers, and they finally win the World Series. And then, they go on to win Hall of Fame. I mean, there's players out there as well who never won a World Series but put up like these Hall of Fame numbers and are in the Hall of Fame, considered one of the greatest, such as Ken Griffey Jr. as an example.
Speaking
He's
of, put Mattingly in. Baseball writers, if you're listening, put Mattingly in. Come on, it's ridiculous.
It's been overdue. Put Keith in. Keith Hernandez. There's a lot of players out there who need to go in, who hasn't been in,
Yeah.
who's out so many years now.
It
So
was funny. I have a story real quick. I don't know if I ever told you this, but before we move on, when I was in college, I had a class for sports writing for sports media. And my professor was a baseball writer and he had a vote for the Hall of Fame. And it was the 2020 class, Derek Jeter's class. And for those of you who don't know what happened with the votes for Derek Jeter to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, there was one writer who did not vote for Derek Jeter to go into the Hall of Fame. And we went into class after after it was announced, and it was announced that Jeter got 99.99% of the votes. And the first thing our professor says, I want to let you all know I voted for Jeter. I'm not the one. I'm not the one who didn't vote for him. So I don't believe that person ever came out, right? And said, hey, I'm not.
yeah, he was anonymous. I don't. I wouldn't. I mean, if I was the person to do that, I wouldn't even
Probably
come
some
out to it.
Boston writer. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Probably some Boston writer.
That's maybe, who knows.
Anyway, let's go to football. Cause I have something I want to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about this. Le'Veon,
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly.
Le'Veon Bell came out. Maybe you don't know what I want to talk about. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. Le'Veon Bell came out and said that Daniel Jones is a bottom tier quarterback. Thoughts?
I don't want to sound biased, but I mean, he wasn't impressive last year. I'll give him that. He had issues with interception turnovers, and he was the top quarterback as of, if I stand correct, he was the top quarterback with the least interceptions rate. And I believe Kirk Cousins is second place, I believe, and Jalen Hurts was third. And I don't know. I mean, if last year he wasn't the person that he was last season, I would agree with Le'Veon Bell, but I would like to see more from Daniel Jones, especially this
Me
season
too.
coming up. He's
Me too.
gotten some little help for in the
He's
off season.
still
Got
hasn't
Barkley.
passed for over 4,000 yards. He still hasn't
Right.
done that yet in his career for a season.
I just feel like he's the type of quarterback who's still developing. He's still learning the game more, still learning how to get more comfortable, more better experience. I don't agree with Le'Veon Bell at the moment. I can't say that he's, like what he said.
Do
I
you
can't agree
think
with that.
do you think that's a shot at Daniel Jones? Because Daniel Jones has been getting a lot of shots over
Well,
this
yeah, of
Saquon
course.
Barkley over the
Uh,
Saquon Barkley stuff.
right. And I feel like, when he got franchise tagged before Barkley, he got more money than Barkley. I felt like that was a shot already at him. A lot of people think Barkley deserved more than that, especially for last year. And, but Jones, it just feels like, yeah, he is getting, I mean, look, it's the New York media. Of course, he's going to get a lot of attention. He's the quarterback. Quarterbacks get a lot of attention for any
Yeah,
team, especially in New York. So he's going to have to live up to that,
40
they
million a
gave,
year.
yeah. And they gave him the money because the Giants do believe in him. They believe that he could better himself for a potential playoff run. So if I'm Jones, I'm gonna work as hard as I can to prove these writers wrong, things like that. So I hope for the best for the guy. I feel bad for him. He doesn't deserve that much hate, really. Of course, I'm not a Giants fan or anything. Of course, it's my rivalry as
Yeah,
well, but I could tell he's trying. He won a playoff game last year.
he did.
People
He
forget
did
about that.
in the playoff game.
And a lot of people had the Giants losing that game. Um, and of course, he didn't do well in the Eagles game. Last in the
You have
divisional.
you got to bring that up.
I mean, hey, look what I'm wearing.
Yeah. My view on it is, look, I like Daniel Jones. I think he's a mediocre quarterback. I hope he proves me wrong this year. I don't think he's a top tier quarterback. I don't think he's a bottom tier quarterback. I think he's middle of the road. I think,
Mm,
um, to be fair to him, he is one of, if not the fastest quarterbacks, um, in the league. Um, it's just, he's got to he's got to have a 4,000 yard season. And he's got to have a 4,000 yard season. I would like him to have at least 25 touchdowns passing. He had 15 last year. Um, I think with the addition of Waller, I think that's going to help a lot. Um,
totally.
and because apparently in training camp, they've literally had to take Darren Waller off the field because Daniel Jones just kept throwing the ball to him. Um, so we might get to like how Eli was with Odell towards the end of Eli's career, where Eli would just be like, Odell's out there somewhere and just chuck the ball up. So we might start getting that with Daniel Jones and Darren Waller. But I feel like Darren Waller is going to be a huge addition. And I feel like he's going to help Daniel Jones a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see what happens. I know people kind of indirectly blame Jones for what happened with the whole Saquon situation, which I think is not fair to Daniel Jones. I mean, the fact of the matter is the quarterback market is exploding and the running back market is imploding. Um,
Right.
you know, reports are, who knows how real, who knows if these reports are real or not, but reports are that Saquon turned down a $13 million offer, a $13 million per year offer. And if that's the case, I personally think that's insane because he's not going to get that from any other team. He's just not.
Right.
Anyway,
Um,
we could give your thoughts and then we could get to your team because we have about 10 minutes left. So
just to wrap this thing up with Daniel Jones, I just feel like just going back to what your question was. I mean, Eli also went through this in his early career as well. I just feel like it's kind of similar to what Jones is going through.
very
Um,
simple.
Jones. I mean, both of them were first round picks. Eli was like a first round pick, one of the highest picks in the 2004
He was
draft.
the first pick.
Yeah, and he struggled. Eli struggled, and a lot of people were questioning, like, is he the guy? Should we trade this guy? They also try to fire Tom Coughlin as well. He was
Tiki Barber infamously said
right.
said that Eli wasn't the guy.
Yeah, so I just feel like that's to be similar, and hopefully everything's just think positive, kind of thing. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Anyways,
Moving down moving down I-95 to
yeah,
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is back on training camp. Our Kelly Greens are finally officially here.
I will admit they are nice uniforms. Those throwback
They're
uniforms are
uh,
nice uniforms.
a very popular jersey. So it was today. Yeah, today's Monday. So it got leaked. It was supposed to come out the 31st, which is today,
Today.
as as we record. And then it got leaked on Twitter, and then they were like, you know what, screw it, let's just make it official that yeah, we got the Kelly Greens coming. So we're gonna play games with them. One of them is against Miami, and then one against the Bills. So I'm very excited for that. People were tailgating at 3 in the morning at the Lincoln Financial Pro Shop,
You
and it
guys
was
are
huge.
crazy, man. You
Well,
guys are crazy.
I don't know how they do it, but I kind of want to buy it, but I don't know. It's really expensive. But I will love to buy one though as well. But yeah, that's really it. Training camp looks good. Oh, and I saw something with Jalen Hurts. So they were doing like those rookie things, and they have to
Yeah.
sing a song kind of thing. So someone recorded. So as someone was recording in the second row, Jalen Hurts was sitting in the front, and Jalen Hurts whips out his phone like out like this, and he has a screensaver of himself walking out of the Super Bowl, like when he lost, kind of thing, with all this confetti on. So that was kind of interesting, was that I saw that he has
Probably
that as a screensaver.
motivation.
Yeah, it's like a huge motivation. I loved it. I loved when I saw it. I was like, wow, like this guy means really busy. He wants to get better. This is why I really love Jalen Hurts, because he just wants to better himself every game. Even when he had his MVP season last year, he just didn't feel that satisfied. He wanted more. He just wants more, and I just
Want
really,
that ring.
yeah, I just feel like I love the guy. And I appreciate he pushes himself harder and harder, and he wants a ring. Just he knows what the city of Philadelphia wants more. He wants we want another championship. We got one like about 5 6 years ago already, but we want another one, especially with the team that we have. We have such potential, and moving forward. Uh, Speaking of training camp, Joe Burrow
Mm.
tore. Oh my God! So he was running and then just hurt his leg and just stopped and had to get carted off too. It was just bad, and he has to get surgery. He's gonna be out for several weeks. So that's a big loss for Cincinnati to start the season.
His second injury in 3 years.
Right. It's the same thing with the legs. He
Yeah.
tore his ACL in his rookie season. There's another person who got sick. Oh, Jalen Ramsey. He's gonna be out to December, and that
Yes.
was a big mission for Miami as well for the defensive core. So
And,
and
and
he's
who knows
better,
how long their quarterback's gonna last.
right? And that's another thing too. If he's gonna stay healthy for a full season,
One more
last year,
con- one more concussion, his career's over.
yeah, I thought last year was it.
I
And
thought
he
so
had
too.
years. I was like, oh my God.
He
I,
had three concussions. He had three concussions last season.
yeah, and what I didn't like as well when he almost like got paralyzed that one game. He was on a plane, and him and the coach Daniels were just watching TV,
So
like in a
stupid.
movie, and it's horrible. When you have a concussion, you can't have any like technology around you, any flashing lights or any. You're just hurting the guy even more. You know,
Yeah,
so
you just gotta pray he stays healthy. I mean, apparently they've created new helmets to try to help with concussions, but we'll see what happens. He's just got to be more careful. He's got to.
He's also injury prone kind of in college as well.
He
He's
was
getting
injured. He was injured his last year in college.
yeah, and that set a lot of eye openings for people who are trying to draft high in the
Remember,
NFL draft.
it was Tank for Tua, and then
Mhm.
who ended up going first that year?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow. And he was also having kind of a little issue as well with injuries, but when he's healthy, he's on.
But
Same thing.
he ended up, he won the championship that year. So,
Yeah.
and there's that picture of him, that picture of him smoking the cigar in his LSU uniform.
Then just 2 years right after that, he went to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, and thank God they lost because Eli
yeah,
Apple.
that would have been something as well if the Bengals won that year. But
Eli Apple would still be talking about it.
yeah, and he also got traded as well. He went to Miami. Yeah,
Yes, he
Eli
went to Miami to take Ramsey's spot.
and him and Tyreek Hill's gonna have a fun training camp because
Yeah.
they were together as well when they were imposing teams. But yeah, training camp is finally here. Nothing crazy going on besides those things that we talked about that I know of. And speaking of football, football's back.
Football's
Preseason's right
back,
here.
man.
This week we have football. This week,
Yes,
a
we
Hall of Fame,
do.
a Hall of Fame game. So we're back. It's great to be back, and I'm really excited for this season. It's going to be an exciting season. We might see a lot of potential teams, surprising teams. We'll see how that plays out. And, we'll talk about the preseason. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about in the preseason. The games don't count. We got third stringers who are trying to make the team, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. So, but until then, we'll discuss more about baseball. We'll see what else goes on in the sports world. And that's really it for us. That's what we have covered. That's all we um, got to see this past week. So, yeah.
Yeah, until next week.
Yeah. Next week, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Always thankful for the time for you guys to give us. And, we do this as a hobby. We have fun talking, um, about our sports teams, just letting it all out kind of thing. So once again, thank you for listening.
Go Yankees.
Go Mets, Eagles, all that good stuff.
All right, until next time.
Next time. See you guys.